Last day over in holiday here, so I'm with Lynn and we're going to have a last go to watercolour here. You've been putting into practice what we did last time. This lovely little bridge. What's the name of this village?
Bellac.
Bellac. So we're here at Bellac and you can see what a charming sight it is, but there's no light today, it's just one tone. But I feel this, with the lights and darks of the reflections, will give us an ideal opportunity to paint loosely again with watercolour. We'll have a go at this today. Setting up here in front of the bridge. So there we are. Let's see if I'm going to be in the way there. Just go in front and see. That's the problem. If I do my whole painting and then find that my shoulder's been in the way of your seeing, it's not good, is it? No, I think we can just get in there nicely and see the view as well as paint. Good. So I'm just using a bit of
all over.
I just want it where the sky is at the moment. Just on the sky, a wash of yellow ochre coming through here, but plenty of water. Just was wet that sky at the moment. Get it wet, because if it's not wet, the sky won't work again. We've got to get it. It went too dry on you last time, so make sure it's nice and wet. That's a very thin coat of yellow ochre with just water, lovely and wet. Don't matter if it trickles down the paper a bit. Even don't worry about that side of it. Always lift this off afterwards. Now into that yellow ochre, we're going to start dropping in slightly stronger colour. So I'm going to take a little touch of burnt sienna now, wherever that is. A little touch of that into my yellow ochre. Just want to get the slightly warmer clouds coming down here and just dabble in, look, just dabble it round there where the lighter clouds are right up here. You see it, how it dabbles down? Just a little, not too much water on your brush when you do it. Just enough to wet into this colour here. Just dabble down in this little grey. It's fairly wet, and just letting it trickle up too much on, you're going to get it all over the place. Just let it dabble down here. Now I'm going to put a little bit of ultramarine into it. That same mix. We've got our yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and a little touch of ultramarine to give us a grey, blue grey. And we'll drop that in way up here, a bit stronger. Way up here at the top, and it's trying to dry already. We mustn't let it. We've got to get this in while it's still.
Ultramarine.
Yeah, we've got to get this in while it's still wet.
This one.
So it's now judging the amount of ultramarine we need up here to get these lovely blues and blue effects of the clouds coming down and through here. There we go. And it's just going to trickle down the paper a bit here. Our browns and blues coming in softly. We know that the colour is going to dry later. Got a wee bit of other blue in the background, I'm not worried about that. I just want to get slightly stronger. But so don't get it too flooded, just enough that it's still wet and just tickle the colours in. And there we've got a lovely sky there. Let's go a bit darker in that sky higher up. So again I'm going to go a little bit darker again. I'm going to take the burnt sienna and the ultramarine. I want to make it a bit stronger up here where it's a much greyer sky. We're gradually adding in. We can only do so much more because it just becomes one flood of one colour if we're not careful. Do too much into it. But that gives us this lovely tone here. Sky going through. Just feeling those clouds. The paint is a little bit heavier there. That's the sort of sky today. Right, let that dry. While that's drying, we're going to come down to our house here, and it's a much lighter yellow pink. And because it's lighter, I'm going to have to paint that straight in. There I'm going to use lemon yellow. A little bit of lemon yellow and a wee touch of, I think a wee touch of a red. The lemon yellow, mix it up over here. And a wee touch of that very light pink. I think this one will do it. Doesn't need much. It'll be quite thin paint, but you want a thin
Sorry,
coat.
which one did you use?
I'm using lemon yellow and a bit of this red here. Just a tint of it, not too much into the lemon yellow. There we go, that's enough. I'm going to go right across that building with that, and the bridge is almost a dark colour of it. So while I've got that on my brush, I'm going to make a slightly thicker mixture of that. And I'm going to use some yellow ochre. Again, yellow ochre. A little bit thicker this time, not much. Let's just feed it on there. Yes, the yellow ochre and a little touch of that same pink. Not too much of it. try that. There we are. Look at that lovely colour there, Len. You see what I mean? Now don't be afraid to let your brush just glide over the surface. Don't paint too hard with the brush. Just see what I'm doing here is what's called dry brush work.
Yeah.
I'm just letting the surface of the rough paper just blow through there a bit. Right through there. And that same colour is happening behind the trees here. So we're going to try and keep to using the same colours as much as possible. So it's just blowing through behind the trees there. It's also going to come into the water down below. I'm going to come right across that water there with that, leaving a light area here. So,
like that.
right, so that's right down to there.
So you've used yellow ochre again.
Yellow ochre this time with a little touch of that same pink. That's lovely. That's gone quite pleased. Is that the way it's going, aren't you? And you know, we've got nice, light, fresh colour going on here. Big brush. Now that's better with your brush. And you know, sometimes you need to flatten the end of the brush slightly on your with very little paint just to get a dry brush. See that mark there? That's it. Just lightly over the surface. Very little paint. This one here, you got it right. And so just use your brush. Let me have my brush a minute. If I just flatten that brush out a bit. Now, if I tickle with that mark, with that, you see I can just go over the surface. Yeah? So very lightly, just the edge of the brush. So you've made the brush into a flatter shape, and it's got very little paint on it, so that you are now able to just drag it over the surface lightly. Too much paint, it just floods in. You wanted that up here, but you don't want it down there. Yeah? And this is called dry brush, so that's what you've got to get used to. So it's almost a dry brush, just a little bit of paint on your brush. That's to get texture. So we've got to, it's all learning. I mean, a couple of days of lessons with me, and you'd be well away.
Yeah,
but
probably.
you get the idea. You're doing it now. It's coming up. That sky. Okay. You see with the sky how it's gone lighter. So, but I put more in. But the sky's nice.
I like
sky's
it
nice
like that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Like that.
Great.
Yeah.
Right. Now we want to start on our trees. Yeah. So let's start with. We want to start with the lightest colours really. So this is quite. These bushes here are quite lemon yellow, aren't they? They're quite yellowy. Yeah. And where else is it? Down here as well, and so on. So it's there and there. So we're going to do that, and also it's quite yellow down here as well. But we can do that later. Let's put the paint wet into wet. We're going to do it in sections. We'll do that section. We'll do that section. We'll do this section. I think what we'll do, we'll start with those lemon yellows of the background, lemon yellow green. So again, it's the lemon yellow. It's almost there, look, with that. That colour isn't far out. So wherever we see it now, I'm not going to do wet into wet at the moment, I'm going to do wet next to wet. So wherever we see that lemon yellow now, which is a little bit muddy in my palette, so I can use it like this. Lemon yellow, wherever it is, leaving a little bit of white here and there. We've got to start leaving these whites now. Actually the wind has now changed it, because the wind has changed the reflections on the surface of the water, which is totally changing how our pictures have done it.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Now we're going to deliberately go bluer in the background here. We're going to deliberately become warmer with our greens here. Okay.
Right.
So let's have a look at this mid-green here, which is quite a strong, warm green. If I take some of the dark green, which is this one, put that back into my lemon yellow mix a minute. But this dark green, where I had the lemon yellow mix just now, let's just test that out. Yep. You see that one? Look, this is what I call about dry brush. Look, you see how I'm using the brush just over the surface here. Yeah. I'm deliberately going to now come up into here and to go with the tip of my brush. And look, I'm using it spikily. Tip of my brush comes into the sky here in little spikes like the leaves, all the way through here. Deliberately going to go right through to the background there. Little spikes. That's come right down into here, comes right through here, down into my yellows there, doing the whole thing. But I'm letting the brush go. Look at this. Look over the surface, dry brush. You see that? Yeah. See if you can learn the dry brush a bit. Just the edge of the brush, just the very edge, letting that just come through. Because we're going to use it in a minute when we do the darker leaves on top of this in a minute. Find those branches coming out. Make your marks about the things that you're actually painting. Right through here. Don't worry about it, just if I give it to you, you must watch now. Go back there a minute. See these bushes here?
Yes.
Right, they're dry.
Right.
So I'm using the edge of the brush just to put in the texture It's using the light fine. If it turned out now, carry on. So we're using the same colours as much as possible, wherever they are, and just tickling the surface of it, not ploughing tons of paint in at the moment. Really, all of my marks are going to be sideways on. Now, I would have preferred doing this when the paint was still dry, but I've had to wait a bit, so it's getting wetter now. So I'm just going to put wet into that in just a minute. Let me get these colours on. A lovely sort of brown green, but I'm leaving the lighter ones in between, and it's slightly hard edge because the paint has had time to dry. And I'm just painting the negative shapes in. I'm painting these darker shapes in around this building, down and through the leaves there, all just the tip of the brush, very stylised, just to feel it. Already you can see the light against the dark against the light, the texturing coming into these trees. I'm just using the tip of my brush now to make the texturing against these leaves again. There's so much to learn in watercolour. It's so much easier with acrylics, but with this we've got so much more to take into account. Brush skills and textures, light against dark, warm against smooth. Now I want that blue, that same bluey green, to start coming into this tree here where it was still wet. So I'm going to take that slightly bluer green we're mixing with the previous one, and I'm going to paint it, let it go wet into these areas behind here, in between the branches as I was doing before. Now this is almost dry, so into that I'm going with the same colour again. Now this is what we talk about doing a glaze. It's a broken brush technique. At the end of the brush I've broken it up. I've made it brush drier, and I've broken the brush up to give a texture rather than just being a brush stroke. A tinny sounding bell, wasn't it? Probably somebody's nicked the bell and replaced it with a cheap one from China. So chrome, lemon and chrome layer, a little bit of emerald into that. We get this, look at this green here. And again, remember the dry brush stuff. Let's just try and make a dry brush across that ceiling. This is the dry brush. And it's not easy to do. If you want to try and learn it, you can have a go now. But it's just not too much paint on your brush, just letting it go across the surface to get this lovely texture. And one stroke, just gently, try and keep it nice and fresh, like that. And we can go back into that dry brush, and we can bring out some of the grasses and shapes in it. The brown there. This is on my brush. I see it somewhere else. I may do a little bit more. Warmer elsewhere. Perhaps a bit coming down into the bridge here. We can start on these warms now. And I want to paint all of this wet in a minute, but it comes round under the arch of the bridge there. And again, the texturing of it, using the edge of the brush, not just painting it straight in, leaving little light areas of, as it ripples through here, little light areas of colour to glow through. I thought about all this yesterday, but just to be here and just enjoy painting is the main, but the wet into wet and the fresh colour, you can see how easily it gets muddy, doesn't it, or dry. And all of that is wet, you see, and just controlled. It's timing, and it's not something I can. I can only show you, as in teaching, I can only show you how it works. And if you get this gradually, you'll. There's some lovely areas happening, but you can see where it works best. Where it's still wet into wet, it works best. We've almost brought this painting back now. It's almost there again. We're back in control again.
Well done.
Well, yeah, that's all you need me to do. You haven't lost it. You are doing right. You just need to feel. Don't just trust me. I'm with you. No, I'll get you there. I'll get there in mine in a minute. That's all right. We've got a little bit light on here. We'll have to put some texturing in there later, but it'll be all right. Nice. Yes, you feel proud of yourself when you've done it. So when you get back and you've been painting in the snow or something, or photographs of it.
Never try me painting in the snow.
Oh yes, it's good. Fantastic fun. That's nice. Yes, it's good, nice stuff happening there. You said that's what you do. You just feel the verticals and the horizontals. Just carefully, just tickle in while it's still wet. Don't get out a blob like, make sure you're getting the right shapes and right colours. If you paint a wrong shape, the right colours in right places, in the right shapes, relevant one to another. Doesn't matter what paint you're using, you need to keep that rule going.
What you see, paint what you see.
Huh? Yeah, look at the marks, look at the colours, compare, just keep making the marks very much about what you're feeling, what you're seeing. You will do
Different
that.
technique.
Doing it out here, just doing it, and having confidence. Look how dark that is compared to this now. We've got this lovely deep. Now suddenly you see this is darker than
I
up
like
here.
that, like that. Oh, that's really nice.
Now we'll take those darks and we'll flood that bit there, and then we'll play those darks against the light.
That's gorgeous.
And that's what now this dark comes all the way down to here, and then suddenly we've got big bits of dark, and they come out. Bits of light shining much darker. The marks change from vertical to horizontal, and into that there's more brown. So look a bit more brown.
The difference.
You look for the colours.
Ah,
You see what I mean?
it's not lost then.
No, none of it is. It's all just knowledge and.
Yeah. Okay, so you've painted your
I've got two red there. There's a bit of red on there. That's quite fun actually. I quite like that red. That one just use somewhere else. Yeah, somewhere else there. Thick to thin, remember, thick to thin. Branches. Oh, that's it. Beautiful. In the reverse there you go, thin, thick. So you might have to go thicker up here and come over that one. But try and get your brush to go on heavily and then come light at the end. Painting your branches thick to thin. That's lovely then. That is, yeah, use your rigour if you need to, but go thick to thin to thin. You're getting it. All the little twigs, put them in there. Now, can I just show you this bit before I go on? You've seen I've gone back down here and brought those textures out, haven't I, with the finer details.
Yeah.
Dark against light, so I'm painting my darks in, leaving the light leaves showing. I'm painting the deeper bits of grass in between, leaving the light ones showing. I've painted some little ripples in here so we have the rough against the smooth. Now, when you've got these branches done, I've got to go in with your bigger, I've got your big, you can have this back if you like, ladies. I've cheated and nicked your mop, but the tip of that mop is ideal, or a bigger one of these. And actually, I could use. No, what I'll give you your mop back. Then you've got it. I'll use this one, but I now want to paint these deeper leaves in, and I'm going to paint wet next to wet. So I'm going to start with the lighter green ones. When I say lighter, I mean they're quite warm. Those greens. Let's see how warm that is. That's not strong enough. I'm going to go really quite strong with these leaves now. Do you want to just watch this a minute? And they're quite warm up there. There's a bit more brown into that. Quite a browny green. That's quite a strong mix, isn't it? And I'm going to paint my leaves in. Actually, I've got to actually paint them as leaves, but one will come into another. So the dark against the light up here. So I'm going to be painting these lovely darks, and I'm going to make them lighter amongst them. I'm going to put wet next to wet here as well. But all of these leaves are going to go in. See how that works? The dark against the light. And I'm going to vary that as it comes up in. I'm going to go greener and greener. And it's at the end of my twigs, so they come right down to here. I can change that green whenever I want, so I've got a variation of them. I'll bring in that more greener green there. And right through here I can bring that into the darks. So I get a variegated green of leaves. It's not just one green, some are darker than others. Right up into, and some of them up here, they're so close together, they almost blob together, look. You're doing it. So when you've got enough twigs, then you start to look at these warm, dark leaves or blues, and they do change colour coming down here a hell of a lot. So what do you think, Lynn? Is that coming now?
Yeah.
You see what I mean about the difference in leaves? Have fun with those greens. Really look for the yellowy greens, the brown greans.
Out here,
Yeah, that's over there, but you're only working up here, so it's only that. It's only this area you're doing. You're only doing from that left-hand tree, from this tree here. Look at that one branch is your main branch. Look, and then you've got a hole in the middle, which is here, and then you've got all these other dark green leaves down this side. They're coming right down your outer edge. They're coming right down into here. But I've got to bring some more stronger leaves down here. Even these yellows going into the leaves up here make such a difference. There's almost purples and there's almost reds coming into it higher up here. You can really see all these lovely colours. When you really start looking, you've got to stop and look and really compare one to another to see them. This is now I want to balance these leaves as the vignette each side. The colours make them work. Not what you might think at all.
No.
It's so easy to think it's something but not actually look. You just green. Look at those purples.
Oh, they're great, aren't
Yeah,
they?
and I can, when I really
You
look,
see that?
yeah, I can
How
actually
can you see
by
that?
comparing, because I'm comparing that to that. And if I look there, it's much greener. If I look here, it goes blue or purple. Then actually at the top there, it almost goes into the red, against the sky, you see. And that's the thing about looking into light. It's trying to see these colours. Right. What I wanted to show you, Lynn, was if we buggered up, we should have left some masking fluid here for light. I'm just going to use a little bit of dry brush work and some pure white just to put in a little bit of the highlights, and you see what you think, and then you'll be able to use it later on yours if you like. So dry brush, hardly any water. First of all, try and get the top of the paint. Now what I want is pure white here, so I mustn't get this messed up. The white, I've got to get it dead on right here because if I get this wrong, it just needs to come back. A bit of dry brushwork over the surface just to bring out this this water. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a little bit of highlight, and you can't. We should have done this by leaving the white paper really, but we didn't. Doesn't need much, just a little bit just to go in and bring out the highlights again. And if you don't like it, you can always go over it with your watercolour, you see. And up into here, you suddenly find that lighter yellows and come back. Just keep looking, not overdoing it, but really got to. Well, the sun's come out now, of course that changes everything, doesn't it? But it is lovely to paint like this. This is what I enjoy it. Yeah, I'm just about there, I reckon. A little bit more, because look at the light now. Right, what I'm going to do tonight, I could just fiddle with it, but I mustn't do that. Leave it low now. Well done, Lynn, yes. What I've just gone and done is back into this area here and worked up the leaves at the top to more of a block rather than being quite so dotty.